Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I have my update for my palette rotation series. So I have all 5 palettes that were in for that stacked up right here, and I will talk through the looks that I created with each of these palettes. I'm going to talk through some general palette usage for the month and just have a little chat about my collection. So this month I used a total of 27 palettes out of my collection. I do have, I believe, 75 palettes in my collection, so not the absolute best, but I have been enjoying just kind of naturally focusing on different palettes, and my palettes within this project and within my Pan Those eyeshadows have been getting a lot of love, so I feel like I'm cycling through my palettes nicely, but I'm not reaching for as many as I might be able to during a month, but 27 isn't a bad number. So my most used palette this month was my Rude Cosmetics Roaring 20s Neons palette, and a little spoiler alert, this is going to be rolling into my Pan Those eyeshadows project. I pre-filmed that video a little bit before this one, so I have already gotten some good use on the shade that I rolled in, but I'm not going to spoil that by opening this palette at all, so be sure to check that video out. It's coming out this Friday if you are interested in seeing my update for that and seeing which shade gets rolled in. But this one was my most used palette this month thanks to that project. I also hit a few pans this month, which I would like to talk about. So I'm not going to talk about any pans that would be coming from my Pan Those eyeshadows project, but I do have a few bonus pans. So the first one I want to talk about actually comes from a palette that was in this project, my palette rotation series. So this is my Essence Salute Paris palette, and the shade I hit pan on is this pink shimmer right here. Hopefully you all can see that. Ooh. I hit it kind of at the top, which is kind of a weird spot for me to hit pan, but I absolutely love this shade. This palette is just so easy to use, and I have really been enjoying it lately. I am someone who does love some pops of color in my looks, but for just some soft, easy looks, this palette is perfect, and I feel like I've been getting quite a bit of love from it recently, so super happy about that, and super happy it has its first pan. Alright, next to talk about, I have my Revolution Reloaded Basic Mattes palette. This is an older palette in my collection, not one I use a ton, but I had been focusing on this shade for quite a while, and I'm so happy that it finally has a pan in it. I am debating decluttering this palette at the end of the year. I'm not sure if I will, but it's just not one that I reach for a ton, but I did really want to get a pan in that shade just because I had been working towards it for quite a while, and I'm so happy to finally have that one. That does make my second pan in this palette, and yeah, super happy about that one. Alright, the final palette I want to talk about is my ABH Soft Glam palette, and this one is in my Pan Those eyeshadows, so I'm going to try and cover the shade that I had for that project, but I did hit a bonus pan. So my bonus pan is the shade Glistening right over here. Not sure how well you'll be able to see, but there is a little pan in there, which I'm super excited about. This palette has been getting so much love for me lately. I feel like I have hit so many pans in this palette this year. I think over half the pans I've hit in this palette have been from this year, so super happy about that, and I'm absolutely loving this palette. It's such a nice staple, and yeah, really excited to have another pan in here. Alright, so adding those shades to my pan percentage, as well as shades that I have hit in my Pan Those eyeshadows project, I now have a total of 71 pans out of 1,035 shades. I know I have a lot of shades within my collection, but I am slowly working my way up there in the number of pans. So this does equal a total of 6.86%. Slowly getting there. I would love to get to 100 pans soon. I'm not sure it will happen this year, but that is kind of the next goal of mine because I think I'm going to easily pass 75 pans here soon. So 100 would kind of be my next satisfying step in my number of pans. So working my way slowly but surely. And then I almost forgot to talk about palettes that I brought into my collection this month. So I did bring in 2 new palettes to my collection. So the first one up here is my Nomad Okavango Safari palette. Hope I'm saying that right. I have been loving Nomad lately, so pretty much everything they're releasing, I'm just like, I want it, and I am so happy with their palettes. Here is what this one looks like. I did do a video with this on my channel. I've done an Instagram reel as well, so I've created a couple looks with this palette so far, and I think it is really nice. Super happy to have this one in my collection, and I cannot wait to play around with it more. And then the second palette I brought into my collection this month is the Rude Cosmetics Roaring 20s Excessive palette. You would have just seen me show the Neons palette, talking about my most used palette. And this is part of that same collection. This is the newest release for this Roaring 20s collection from Rude Cosmetics. And again, super happy to have this one. I have only used this one once for a video, but I really loved the look that I created, and I do plan on using it again very soon, so stay tuned for that if you are interested. This one is just a nice, kind of more neutral purpley palette, and I really love the color story, and I'm happy to add it to my collection. Alright, now we can go ahead and talk about the looks and the palettes that were in my palette rotation series. So, for those of you who don't know, this is a super laid-back project I started where I roll in 5 random palettes for the month, and my goal is just to create one everyday look with just that palette. So just kind of rediscovering some palettes, getting some love out of palettes and shades I might not normally reach for that month. So super simple, super laid back, but I've been really enjoying it to kind of cycle through the palettes in my collection. So the first palette I have to talk about here is my Essence Salute Paris palette. You would have just seen this in the pans I hit section of this video, but this was the first one that I used this month. And here is what it looks like on the inside, as you saw, and I will insert a picture of the look that I created. So for this look, it was super simple. I started out with this matte shade through my crease. I used this gray shade to deepen the crease onto the outer corner, put this shade on the first kind of 2/3 of my lid, and this one in the inner corner. Very easy, super simple look, and it's just one that I really love to create with this palette. I typically reach for this shade in my outer corner, but I kind of wanted to do the gray, reach for a different shade for this look, and I really did like how that turned out, so probably a look I will have to recreate in the future. Alright, next up we have my I Heart Revolution and Disney Aladdin palette. Here is what this one looks like, and I will insert a picture of the look I created. So for this look, I started with the shade Marketplace through my crease. That is a little bit of a satiny shade, but it still worked fine for the crease. And then I used Magic Carpet to deepen that shade and brought that one onto my outer corner. I put the shade Agrabah on the outer half of my lid, and then Time to Fly in the inner half of my lid, and put Aladdin in the inner corner, and I really liked how this one turned out. I used some of my favorite shades from this palette in this look. These two specifically are shades that always call to me, but I don't always reach for a ton, so it was really nice to get a dedicated use out of those shades, and I really did love how this look came out. Alright, next palette I have to talk about is my Nabla Poison Garden palette. Another really pretty one. So I will go ahead and insert the look. So for this look, I started with Berry Bite in the inner portion of my crease, and then I used this darker blue shade for the outer corner, did kind of a two-toned crease look. I believe I used canvas to blend those shades out. Then I used the shade Opera on the inner and outer portions of my lid just to kind of create a little bit of a halo eye effect with those shades. Then I took Craving and kind of packed that closer to the center of my lid. And then I believe I took Adoration on the very center of my lid and popped that one in my inner corner. And I really enjoyed how this look came out as well. It was a little bit more on the fun side, and I just had a lot of fun creating this look, playing around with some of the colors in this palette, and yeah, super happy with how this one came out as well. Alright, then next up we have my Art Revolution Tangled palette. Here's what this one looks like, and I will insert a picture of the look I created. So for this look, I started with the shade Golden through the crease, and I really tried to focus that on the inner portion of the crease, and when there was less product, brought that through the rest of the crease. And then I used the shade Glow to blend that out. Then I put some of Royal lower in the crease and focused that one in the outer portion. And I believe I took a little bit of Immortal as well, just to kind of deepen up that outer corner. I packed the shade Crown all over the first kind of 2/3 of my lid, and then put Paper Lanterns in the inner corner, and I really loved this look. I love what yellow and purple look like together. Those are some really nice complementary colors, so I had a lot of fun creating this look. The shade Crown is probably my favorite shade within this palette. I just really love the tone of it, and it was so much fun. I feel like I created quite a few purpley toned looks, but I just really loved purple this month and absolutely loved how this look came out. Alright, then last but not least, we have my Be Bella Cosmetics Lotus Love palette, and I will insert a picture of the look I created with this one. So for this look, I started with Fresh through my crease and used Lush Blush to kind of blend that out a little bit. I used Marvelous to start deepening up the crease and the outer corner, and took a little bit of Supreme Lotus to deepen up that outer corner as well. And then I took some more of Lush Blush and packed that on the first 2/3 of my lid, and then put Purity in the inner corner. And this was just a really nice pinky tone look. I thought it was super cute. I don't usually reach for like these darker pinks, especially this one over here, so it was a really good opportunity to use that shade and create a look that I maybe haven't before. I know it looks pretty simple, but in this palette I typically reach for the purples, so I was happy to use some of the more pinky shades for this look this month. So those are the 5 palettes, the 5 looks I created for the month of June. Let me know what you guys think. Which of these looks was your favorite? And we can get into drawing my palettes for July. Alright, I have my Tiny Decisions app pulled up to my palette rotation series wheel, and I am just going to go ahead and draw in 5 new palettes. So our first palette up here is going to be my Glitter Realm A Whole New World palette. I am so excited about that one. Next up, we have my Juvia's Place The Nomad palette. That will be a good one for me to reach for. I don't really reach for it much. Next we have Be Bella Sweet Sunflower. 2 more, I believe. I Heart Revolution, The Little Mermaid. And our last one for this month is going to be ABH Subculture. So I'm going to go grab all of those palettes and be right back. Alright, we have a very exciting round, so I'm going to run through each of these 5 palettes. Alright, probably the palette I'm the most excited for. This is my Glitter Realm A Whole New World palette. And here is what this one looks like on the inside. I absolutely adore this palette, and I'm so happy to be getting a dedicated use out of it. The usage on this palette has lessened a little bit in the recent months, but I'm so excited to pull it out again and be reaching for it. Just absolutely love this palette. Next up we have my Nomad palette by Juvia's Place, and here's what this one looks like. This is a bit more of a fall toned palette, but I am still excited about it. I have been loving using this as a lid shade, and I'm hoping to hit pan on that one soon. Probably won't happen this next month, but we will see. And yeah, it'll be nice to get another use out of this palette, as this is one of the less used ones in my collection. Alright, then we have my Bibella Cosmetics Sweet Sunflower palette. So another fairly neutral palette with some nice pops of yellow. This one I always find pretty easy to use. It's a nice everyday palette, and I am excited to get a dedicated use out of it this next month. It will be nice to pull it back out of my collection. Alright, then next up we have my I Heart Revolution The Little Mermaid palette. Oops. And a part of me kind of feels like this was already in for this year, but it must not have been because it did get rolled in. So I am excited to be reaching for this one and see what kind of look I can come up with. There are some really beautiful colors within this palette, and it does make me excited to reach for it, and I feel like I do need to get some more use out of my I Heart Revolution Disney palettes, and this will be a really good chance to do so. And last but not least, we have my ABH Subculture palette. I am also super excited for this one. I have been reaching for this more lately and have been loving it. So really excited about that. I really want this palette to start showing some more usage, showing how much I love it. So this will be another good opportunity to reach for this palette. Alright, so those are my 5 palettes rolling in for July. Super excited about this month. I am really looking forward to getting some uses out of these palettes. I have found that this project is being pushed to the side a little bit, but I am hoping, since I am pretty excited about most of these palettes, that I can get some good use out of them and really start focusing on this project more and not kind of wait till the last minute to create my looks with these. So let me know what you guys think of this project, what you thought of this video, which of these palettes rolling in is your favorite. Give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future uploads. And with all of that said, I will see you in my next video. Bye!